Alright, hello guys, it's Glurmit here and I'm joined with Still Plays. We're back for another GA chat and it has been a while. That was my fault entirely. I was very busy, so don't blame Still Plays. Not that you would, but just in case.
I covered for you.
Alright guys, so in today's episode we've got quite a lot to talk about. Would you like to give everyone an idea?
So in this first part we're going to talk about the Grand Arena this past 3v3 season, just a quick little recap on some of the highlights. Then we're going to move into the current Datacron set. Then as we move over to my channel, the final two topics, we'll be touching on Grand Inquisitor, how we're seeing him as a lot of players are unlocking him, and then taking a little look at the forthcoming 5v5 season in Grand Arena.
Awesome. Alright, so do you want to get us started today?
Yeah, so with this final week of Grand Arena of the 3v3 season, a couple of the same patterns that I've pushed for and advocated before with a lot of these newer marquee characters. I just got some really impressive performances from them. My Gear 12 Chieftain squad, where I've got Chieftain Warrior and Omicron Tusken Raider, because I didn't want to add any additional Omicrons, so that was a way for me to cheaply boost up my Tusken squad. That got a lot of holds just because what you do with a lot of these new marquee characters is you take advantage of your opponent's unfamiliarity with these newer characters. And so it's something where most players are going to have a plan for a lot of the common defensive teams. So when you utilize these new characters, you create a situation where your opponent, if they don't do their research, is going to get caught. And that also happened with my Tarful squad. I got some really nice performances with Tarful getting a hold up against a Grievous squad, and it almost took down in the final week a Fennec lead bounty hunter squad with Boba Fett that I found pretty shocking that it had brought them down all the way to the red and took out a Sign of Django in that setup. But it was overall pretty good season, so that I was able to finish in Kyber 2 and as I transition into becoming a 4GL account from the 3GL period that I've been in.
I just want to point out, I'm looking at your holds on... No, I don't believe this. They must have stopped... so I'm looking at your holds from your Tuskens. JMK.
Yeah, it got kind of ridiculous.
What is this? JMK Cat failed on your Tuskens.
Oh, they don't have an AoE.
Yeah,
so
it makes sense.
AoE, they can't deal with it.
It makes so much sense when you think about it. That's actually crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But that's the thing where when you're not familiar with the squad, you make those kinds of errors.
Now, talking about Tuskens real quick, whenever I've used it or faced it, it just doesn't work, the Omicron. Like, I can just kill the normal guy and he just never revives.
That does happen with me too when I've tested them out on offense and on defense. My best guess is if you focus on the Raider himself, you can take him out, but if you focus on the summon, then it's going to keep reviving. I think that's what's broken with it.
That's still crazy.
That is my best guess.
You drew 2 GLs of your Tuskens. That's actually crazy. Because in the first round you sent me, SLKR was used against Tuskens.
Yeah, players they get frustrated after a couple holds.
That's actually crazy.
Something.
I'm sorry, I'm amazed. I know you said it was good, but then I go and look and JMK holding against Tuskens. That's insane.
Yeah, that's the advantage of forcing your opponents into a place where they're not comfortable.
And when you talk about the whole new characters draw out higher gear characters when they might not win, your Zori team's a great example. Gear 12 Finn, what's that, like Gear 11 Zori and Poe, drawing out a full Relic Phasma team. There was never a chance Phasma beats that team. Yet they take it in because they see their Relic levels, they see yours, and yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, even the Fennec and Boba almost losing to your Tarful? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think with 7 stars, that might be a win with Tarful.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Tarful is pretty. I mean, the most common counters I'm seeing for Tarful is like Treya, Mando with like Grief and Bosco or whatever. and General Skywalker. Like, it's not that those battles there, they're all pretty high, like high 90% ratio for winning, but they're also extremely good teams. I don't want to spend too long. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, the only thing I want to add with Zori is my Zori was doing things like that before she was 7 stars and without the Omicron. Like, the Omicron makes her better. She's plenty good without it.
Oh, absolutely. I was just going to point out your trench. How has your trench been doing?
Pretty good. It's either drawing a GL or players are messing up certain counters. There's some things that work pretty well up against it. Like, I think CLS works up against it. But one thing that's a very common counter is Wampa, but it doesn't work in 3v3 up against the version that I've been setting down. Mine has been able to get holds with it. And I think part of the reason is without it, you're in 3v3, you're forced to make choices with your trench squad that makes it pretty easy for Wampa to counter it. What I like about using Dooku and using Watt in that scenario is that does stop Wampa.
Yep.
So it's one way where I've been able to get holds when my opponents have attempted that. Because if you do Django and Watt or Django and Dooku or whoever, you're just able to focus down on trench with Wampa and it's not a problem.
It's very interesting. I still don't have my trench up and running, which is why I was asking.
I went after that Datacron hard because with every, and we'll talk about this as we move on to other topics, but with the Datacrons, every set there at least historically has been 1 or 2 like must-haves that I'll push for.
The last thing I want to say about the trench team is in threes, I don't think this is too high investment. Because you can, especially with Merrin coming out, Daka Zombie aren't really on that team. You can actually run Towson and Asajj with Merrin. Which means you can use your Night Sisters with C, and then C can still beat JMK and teams like that, which means you can run this, which is pretty nice. Alright, I've got up my one. Now, mine was not very good. I went 1 for 2 last week. Or no, yeah, one win, 2 losses. The first round I played someone in core, and they attacked me in the first. I looked at their history. They had 1 win in like 2 sets of 3v3. They don't play. But I was thinking I might as well plan for them to play, and yes, they did play. Within like 20 seconds of the round starting, they had already tried to beat my Ray and failed. They took Starkiller in 1 minute, and it was a loss. I think that was a Datacron thing, because I had like 111% crit damage. So I think they may have just got nuked by Ben, potentially. On offense, I kind of struggled. Like, every team they had was like all Relic 7, all Relic 8, or even all Relic 9. I think they had like 40 plus Relic 9s. And like, I mean, I got it up on the screen, I know you can't see it. So I tried something different. I tried Tarful versus Iden, because it was Relic 8 Iden, Relic 8 Shore Trooper, Relic 8 Stormtrooper, and the Kron had 128% defense. And my Wampa is not going to go through that. And none of the other teams, I don't think I actually beat Iden. Like, I just, nothing worked. It's too high defense, and it was the 15% Kron as well. So I thought I'd try something, didn't really work. I then had General Skywalker against Seer. That was a pretty good match. I tried my Iden against their CLS. It's just, again, crazy high defense. Actually, it wasn't defense, this one was health still. But yeah, again, just every team they had this 15% health protection Kron. C Malgus, then I did JTR against Crew. I took Rose Tico, lost. No longer are they that good now. The Kron's gone, unfortunately. Not in threes anyway. I tried to Fennec their Lord Vader. I didn't even get one turn in. Like, their Maul just wiped me. And then I got stuck on Iden, and it was kind of... Oh no, in the end... Yeah, here we go. In the end, I took Nihilus against Iden. And then CLS I beat... Oh, it was Jabba, I remember now. My memory's coming back. So I did JNK against Jabba, timed out. Jedi Knight Rev and Jedi Knight Luke against SLKR, it was just down to him. I tried Starkiller on Jabba, so I'd taken out Leia, and I thought to myself, oh, I can now assist, I can now get Starkiller's ult. This Jabba, full R9, with a 15% Cron, 173% defense, I pulled it out of the sky and it did like 10 damage. it was so sad. And then the team of the day, I only tried one team against it. At this point, I'd already lost. It was the Bastila JML Wattown Boar with the Bastila Crom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tried GI just to see if I could even do any damage. I did nothing.
Oh no, that doesn't work.
Yeah, I was well aware it wouldn't work. I remember on the stream I was like, this isn't going to work. Like, the plan originally was to use Kylo. I had to use Kylo somewhere else. Which he even lost that battle, which is kind of funny, but yeah. I just wanted to see the damage, and I did nothing. So yeah, that was my round one. And then my other round was basically the same. Lord Vader killed my Fennec again. Oh no, that's on defense. On offense, sorry. My bad. I was going to say. Oh no, I tried... Yeah, I remember. I did Starkiller against Lord Vader. Because it was Lord Vader with the Maul Thrawn variant, and I figured I'd try Starkiller, go in. I think I misplayed by not killing Thrawn. I killed Maul, but then Thrawn fractured Starkiller, and that was basically the end of that. Again, I think on this one I got stuck on an Adrad. Of all teams, I haven't been stuck on him for a long time.
Happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Because if you don't bring a team in that's strong enough, then there's just no way to do it.
Yep. And then the other team I got stuck on was a Darth Revan. So I said in the stream I was doing, I said this unlikely. Like I'd already planned it out. Things went wrong. I had to change the plan. So it was Darth Revan Talon Savage, but it had the level 6 for ability blocks, and Rex and Fives died so early on, and then obviously General Skywalker is just always ability blocked. Really, really cool combo.
Interesting.
Yeah, like. Because once the others are dead, Gas counterattacks, Savage counterattacks, and then he ability blocks Gas. Gas never gets off another AoE. That's basically... It's an interesting idea. But that's a recap of my Grand Arena. So, in terms of my datacrons, I didn't get many last time round because I was obviously very busy. So I only managed to get 2 level 9s, but I did have a fair few... level 5s. This time round, I'm going for as many level 3s first. I want to have one of these health protection increases on every team. Mm-hmm. Currently, I'm at 3, 6, 7, 10. I'm at 11 at the moment. So I want to get 2 or 3 more. Once I've got them, I'm going to start leveling them up. In terms of the level 9s I have the Bastila one and I have the Savage one. Now, Savage, I think, is one of the better ones. It's just, personally, I don't know if I'll have him at R7 in time. I'm still going to keep it, and I know you've said it in your videos before. It's worth keeping, because if you do get him to R7, you can use it. But for me, personally, the ones that I'm looking for level 9 is going to be Sith Trooper and Zalbar. They're the ones that I want to use, because... personally, I have a lot of account progress I'm making this upcoming month, so my priorities are on finishing stuff like Aphra, finishing Profundity. So I'm not going to have the spare R7s. So I just like Sith Troopers looks pretty good, and
Sith Trooper and Sith Empire Trooper are pretty interesting.
Yeah, I haven't really looked too much at Sith Empire Trooper, and then the other one for me is Zalbar. Just because it's extra defense. and he looks pretty good. So which one? What about you? How's your Datacrons going?
So that's something I take pretty seriously as a free-to-play player because it's one of those places where I can build an advantage compared to other opponents.
Yep.
It's actually one thing now that we can sim the
Oh
Datacron
yeah.
node I'm a little worried about because those pain points are my advantages. And when you remove some of the difficulty there, it makes it a little bit easier and a little bit more egalitarian, so I lose that advantage. So I've got, I think, 3 level 9 Datacrons right now. I can't use any of them. Like, I've got Savage, but my Savage is Relic 6. I have the Talon one. Talon's at Relic 5.
Yeah.
And I think I have, I don't know, I've got like Sith Trooper or no, I've got the Maul one. Maul will get there, but because of the Leviathan, but the Maul one. Um, but when it comes to these level 9 Datacrons, the thing that I try to advocate for is whether or not you can utilize the Datacron, it is worth going after them just because when the set expires, you get a head start on the next set.
Yeah.
So I like to take them seriously regardless. Plus with like Grand Inquisitor right now, a lot of players are getting him at a point where those really good Inquisitor crons are gone. But what we do have from the last set is the Unaligned Force User
Yeah.
bump, which is something that could be carried over if you had prepared for that in advance
Yeah.
to understand in a month or so, I'm going to get this character, get the cron ready. Like I did that with Jabba, with Afro. When those crons were active that first month, I didn't have the characters. By the second month, I did. Maybe a shorter window of taking advantage of it, but it's still a pretty meaningful window. But I completely concur with those level 3 crons. You got to get as many as you can.
No,
It's a big advantage, especially when you go up against opponents who aren't taking Datacrons as seriously, which probably is more true for me and players below my point in Kyber 2 than your level of Kyber 2.
so I just want to jump in and say, I know you said there is a negative in a way to them becoming simmable, right? The Datacron
Yes.
mode. I do wonder if a lot of people are going to start simming and then not have enough time to max. I can see that happening with some people. We'll see. I just know I've had 1 month before where I did that, but because normally I would do the farming for Datacrons first, because Grand Arena comes the first week, and then the second week I would max Conquest, and I got really busy. I didn't red crate, and I wonder if some people will fall into that trap because it's very easy to sim because it doesn't use stamina, it doesn't use anything else, and then all of a sudden 3-4 days have gone and you've just used like all your refreshes. So I'm just interested to see what happens there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something where every player just needs to be aware of what kind of player they are. Like,
Yeah.
there's a strong argument to go after the Datacrons first to give you that advantage in Grand Arena. I just know that next week, there's been days where like I haven't participated in Conquest at all.
Yeah.
And I don't like to risk that. So I make sure I do feats first, or at least make like 70-80% progress on feats before I start heavily going after those crons. Just so that I'm not caught late in the Conquest hoping for that red crate.
I think that's good advice.
The other point I want to touch on, because you were touching on some of the other good Datacrons, and just in terms of what that looks for me, Sith Empire Trooper I think is very good. I'm looking at building out maybe 3 separate Sith squads depending on if I get them all to the relics before the set expires, because I don't have a relic Traya squad. The Talon would be amazing on a Traya squad. I really like that Talon cron, especially if you pair it with Talon's Omicron. And then in 5v5, that could be a pretty devastating squad. The Maul one is not amazing, but I like it just in terms of just freshening up a defense, and especially as everyone's working on the Leviathan, we're going to have a better deep set of Sith characters that can be utilized in those contexts.
Mm-hmm.
The Savage one, I think I need to see it active because I'm not convinced. But the Old Republic set, like, yeah, you definitely want the Bastila Shan. I'm personally not looking at the other ones because I don't really want to run. I don't have a lot of those characters at Relics, and I don't expect to, so I don't really want to run a lot of Old
Yeah.
Republic characters. But with Night Sisters, Marin deserves to be mentioned. I'm not going to get it because I'm kind of loath to Relic Night Sisters, just because they're so good not at Relics.
Yeah.
So it's something where if you do have Relics on your Night Sisters, Marin is absolutely a worthy Datacron from the current set.
So the only benefit I pointed out Zalba. The only reason I go for him over the others is because he counts himself. So even in 3v3, he's still going to gain the defense.
So that actually reminds me.
Yep.
Mission, I don't believe, has the Old Republic trigger. So Mission might even be one that's very good for you since you have a good Tarful squad, where Mission would be able to take advantage and not have that Old Republic trigger that would disqualify her from being on Tarful.
That is interesting. The reason why I never considered Mission is because it says only on her turn when she basics. But I suppose, like, if I get it, I'll try it because she is R7. So, for me, like, with this set, I think the level 6s, like, the level 3 we've kind of already spoken about, is the health protection increase. It's just insane. Now, the level 6 is just next level. You have ability block, which I spoke about in my Grand Arena. You have the other one. The Sith one, when an Sith ally is reduced to 50% health, they inflict doubt. That's quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have one that's really, really nice. When the Sith allies, and this is the same for Old Republic and Night Sisters, start with their turn of release 2 debuffs that can be dispelled, they have a 65% chance to dispel the debuffs, which is really, really nice as well.
Yeah, I think the one overarching note is in this set of Datacrons, I think there's not the no-brainer that there has been in the previous several sets where, like, Chupio you had to get. Like the Mara Jade one's a little debatable. Trench was pretty good. The Afro one was like a cheat code to winning. Like, and this time I don't think there's, except for maybe the Marin one, but there's not the Datacron that's just like obviously far better than everything else.
Yeah, I think you're right.